Well, good afternoon. I'm excited to share with you some of the projects that the engineering department's been working on over the past year with regard to our infrastructure. As mentioned earlier, we've been short-staffed for over a year and a half, but we've made quite a bit of progress over the last year with our projects. The first one I wanted to highlight, of course, is our Timberbrook project, which was completed I think it was in summer of 2023. This was a project that sort of took on a life of its own, but it's finished, stick a fork in it, and actually it turned out very nice, as you can see from the picture. Another project that I'm especially excited about because it took so long to get it started because of the railroad implications is our Windhaven Parkway, Corporate Drive Segment 6 Windhaven Parkway project. That project began construction about a year and a half ago, and they're almost complete. The project is probably 90% complete. We expect the contractor, Sunt Construction, to be completed sometime in late April, and we're going to plan a ribbon cutting ceremony for this project at some point coming up in the near future.
Drive a train through it?
Well, you keep that in mind.
How do you think about this?
Yeah, Claire doesn't know yet. Anyway, just if you look at the picture at the top, actually, they've actually started paving, putting down the roadway pavement already. That's a little bit older picture. Corporate Drive Segments 2 and 3. This is an exceptionally large project. Again, a long time coming. We had a lot of right-of-way we had to get. We finally have that right-of-way. This project was awarded back in December. The contractor, Sunt Construction, is mobilizing, and you should see some action out there very shortly. Corporate Drive Segments 4 and 5. This project is the extension of the first two segments I just mentioned, and this will complete our Corporate Drive project that we've been working on for many years. This particular project has been bid. Staff is evaluating bids, and we're planning to come to the City Council in April for bid award on this project. So we would expect construction to begin sometime in June. Here's our Valley Parkway and Civic Circle project. It started relatively recently. The contractor is Tissio Construction. They're actually working a little bit ahead of schedule. They've been moving very quickly. Because they're moving so quickly, it's caused a few communication problems for us, but we've worked on that. Anyway, it should be finished just about the same time as our public safety complex. So it'll kind of wrap all that up nicely and everything will be fresh and new out there. I also want to mention that this project does have a few complete streets elements associated with it, some pedestrian improvements and some lighting. Our North Mill Street project was also awarded back in December. This project, the construction is going to kick off in April. I expect that we'll probably, this project will be a little bit painful simply because of the fact that it's the main route in and out of that entire neighborhood out there. And so it's probably going to cause some cut-through traffic in some of the neighborhoods with people trying to get around the construction. We'll have that to look forward to. But again, it's been a long time coming, and I know that those people are happy to see the construction out there starting. Our Indian Oaks project was awarded last year. The contractor's been moving along. They're moving along on schedule, and considering that it's a neighborhood, we usually get a lot of comments and just complaints from residents on these neighborhood-type projects because it does cause so much inconvenience. And frankly, we've had very few comments and issues with this project so far with regard to the residents being inconvenienced.
Is that one staying culverts, or are we actually putting in drainage on that?
No, we're just going to replace all the driveway culverts.
Okay.
Yeah, in fact, one of the fears when we first started designing this, it was kind of funny when the surveyors just went out and started doing their topography survey. We had tons of calls from residents worried that we were going to put sidewalks out there and that we were going to put underground drainage and curbs and gutters because they didn't want that. That's why they bought out there. So it's going to look pretty much the same as it did before, except it's going to be brand new concrete pavement. Also back in December, the Elm Street and Poydras Street project was awarded. We've held off on the construction on this one because of the apartment building construction. The apartment developer wanted us to hold off until they got the exterior of their building completed so that we wouldn't have competing contractors. So we're expected to begin construction on April 22nd on this project. And again, this will have complete street elements like we've done in Old Town with the bump outs. So we're going to have some back and angle parking and some parallel parking, landscaping. And probably one of the most exciting things about this project is that we are taking the utilities underground. Another project that's been a long time coming is our West College Street project. This one had a lot of right-of-way on it. When we finally have all of our right-of-way, we anticipate bidding this project late spring, early summer. Another project that we've got kind of almost got to the finish line is our I-35 aesthetics project. This project has required a lot of arm wrestling with TxDOT, but we finally got there. I think we've got what we want, with a lot of work from a lot of people. And anyway, TxDOT has our plans, and they're going to incorporate almost everything that we originally wanted, so we're in good shape on this. I just wanted to run through, I just highlighted some of the larger projects we've had progress on over the past year, and I just wanted to list a lot of the other projects that we have ongoing or things that have been completed over the past year, just to give you an idea of the magnitude of the number of things that we've got going on in our engineering department with projects. We're working on the North Cowan Avenue project. We're working on Southwest Parkway. We've got a trail out at the Levy Improvement District down by Vista Ridge. We've got our Northwest Old Town streets and then an Ace Lane sidewalk and 12-inch water line. We just completed improvements at Purnell and Mill Street, added a back-in angle parking, and worked with the apartment developers on that. Our Holford's Prairie Road project has been stalled for a while, but we're going to pick up the right-of-way acquisition again this spring. It's going to be a very heavy lift. That Holford's Prairie project is very heavy with regard to right-of-way requirements. Our Jones and North Keeley paving and drainage is kind of an interesting project in the fact that we have what was called a FLAP grant. It's a federal grant from the Federal Highway Administration, and what's nice about a FLAP grant is that they do all the design and they actually do the construction. All we have to do is review the plans, and we work with them to make sure we're trying to get what we want. And of course, the city, and there's a 20% city match. But the grant pays for 80% of it, and they do all the work. All we have to do is review plans. We're picking up the right-of-way acquisition again on Mackenzie-Hembry Phase 1. We do have some of the right-of-way and some we don't. We do anticipate some difficulty with the right-of-way on that particular project, and so we're picking that up again. And then we just awarded the contract for the Windhaven Cookie Lane signal. Working on Main Street utility relocations right now. We completed the ones, or actually we completed it and then realized that there was another piece of water line. TxDOT changed their plans at some point during the design, and so we're having to add a little bit more water line now to that project. We're doing, of course, utility relocations at Business 121 and Corporate Drive. We've completed our Prairie Creek Trunk Sewer project, and we've got 2 other sewer projects that we're going to be completing this summer. Now, looking forward. We've got our South Cowan project that has been partially funded. We've got design money. We intend to begin select a consultant to begin design sometime in late spring, early summer. And again, this will have a complete streets element to it with wider sidewalks, probably some bump outs and landscaping, and we'll go out to the neighborhood and the residents on the front end and try to understand what it is that they're looking for before we start that design. We have our Louisville Valley 1 subdivision project. Again, we've got design funding for this. We've got future bond money programmed in the upcoming bond program, but we can get started on the design now. We've got the design money. Louisville Valley 4, same thing. We've got design money, so we're going to go ahead and get started on that in 24, 25, hopefully early summer, and then try to be at 30% design by this time next year. We've been working on our East College Street project. This project is at 90% design. We're hoping to bid it later this year, and we're in the right-of-way phase right now. We've made some pretty good progress getting right-of-way parcels, so this is moving along. I don't really expect any issues with delays on this. And again, this will be a complete streets project. It'll kind of mirror what we did on Main and Mill with the bump outs and the landscaping and wide sidewalks and bike lanes and South Keeley. We're at 90% design on this. We've only got 3 right-of-way parcels remaining. Once we wrap up those right-of-way parcels, the design can be completed, and I would really expect this to be bid sometime maybe this summer. And then look at some other projects we wanted to highlight that we're working on and then hope to get started in the next fiscal year or in the upcoming year. Of course, is our King Arthur Drive traffic calming. We expect to select a consultant in May and then hopefully be at a point where we have enough to show the public and get some input later in the summer. Mackenzie-Hembry Phase 2, we'll try to get a start on it. We've got the Valley Vista drainage improvements that we're going to get started on fairly quickly. Meadow Glen neighborhood rehab, our Valley Ridge East extension. That's the extension of East Valley Ridge that connects over to Corporate Drive across the lake just north of Railroad Park. And then we've got a couple of water line projects that we're going to try to get started on this year. So as you can see, we've got a lot on our plate, and we're hoping to be fully staffed here pretty quickly, as Claire mentioned earlier. So anyway, a lot of work, and we're pretty excited that we've made so much progress in the last year.
All right, I get to hit utilities and facilities. So our fleet and facilities building, council, you remember a year ago, we did that event for opening up that facility there. We just recently completed an 11-month warranty walkthrough at that facility last month. And a little just tidbit on this one, we held a Jim, it was a Public Works Director Summit luncheon, right, at that facility. And we've actually had a lot of feedback from some of those other represented municipalities. We did a tour yesterday with another municipality, and they're looking to take some of the ideas that we had in this facility and apply it to their own. So it's Louisville leading the way. Hedrick House, earlier this month, I'm probably going to go through this one pretty quickly, but earlier this month we had that event, open house here in this, and then really the only thing that really remains out here is small warranty repairs. We haven't paid quite all the bills on this one, but this is on the waning ends of this one, of this project here. Probably should have used a better picture to show the inside of it, but City Hall basement remodel. Hey, we should probably hold a council retreat in this place. 2.6 million, the lower level is what we're calling it. Punch list items, really have knocked most of those out. There's still a couple of remaining items out there. We're not closing this project out because there is a generator component to this as well. That's coming in June of 24. And from there, we're going to take the existing generator here at City Hall and we're going to truck that over to the animal shelter.
And council, just reminding you guys that a lot of these movements of generators really came out of the February storm a couple years back, and really council directing us that we needed to have. We definitely had some issues with not having a generator at the animal shelter, so this is one of the solutions to that.
Well said. Temporary police and fire facilities. So we started that temporary fire station number 1 in October of 2022. That was wrapped up about a year later. And then PD, we renovated a lease space, and then PD moved in March of roughly at the same time. And they moved in March of 2023. And the big issue here is we're currently occupying those facilities, and ultimately we will be vacating those facilities once Tittle McFadden comes online, which we're estimating to be April of 2025. Speaking of, Tittle McFadden, once again, we're actively in construction. We get, I know council gets numerous updates on that facility. One thing I do want to point out specifically, just in terms of appreciation, look at the design started in December of 21 and construction followed in October of 22. That is light speed. That is astounding in terms of how fast that design was created. Testament to staff and the contractors and vendors that we were working with to get this off the ground. Big lift. Fire training towers. Council awarded construction in January a few months ago of this year, and estimated completion is a year from now. Right now, they're kind of digging in the dirt. They're playing in the earth or doing some earthwork, and really, this is the biggest issue that they're having right now is some groundwater. We're trying to remove that groundwater so that we can lay some foundations at some of these facilities here. Traffic signal network. So this has been a longer phased project here. We originally had funding in 2019, 2020, and we pulled that funding due to reasons related to COVID. And we refunded the first phase in 21, followed by that by 22. We're currently in phase 3. We're acquiring equipment for the video monitoring system, i.e. cameras. Currently in this process. This was tied to our communication master plan with the ultimate goal of creating a traffic management center. We've kind of modified that just a little bit, and we actually have screens and with our traffic engineer and with our traffic operations supervisor, and they're monitoring those feeds that are coming from those traffic signals as we speak. As we procure, we are installing and ultimately connecting those feeds. So this is still ongoing. Prairie Creek wastewater treatment electrical improvements. This is the first project in the wastewater treatment plant master plan. We had some pretty dated electrical systems here, mainly transformers. We should be going out to bid, probably not March, more likely April of next month here. And It's funny, we pre-purchased transformers last year. These should arrive in May and be ready to be installed once we actually select a contractor to construct. I want to say that the lead times on transformers and anything related to electrical is just, it's so far past a year now. I think it was like 445 days. Cool. This is an interesting project. So this has been on the books for a while. The bioscrubber off McGee. This is north of 407. There's a new development there. This was previously zoned for light industrial, and that zoning changed to a townhome residential type zoning. And we, aesthetically, that probably wouldn't look really good to have this gigantic tower, and that's actually a small one, but a gigantic tower next to someone's house. So we decided, hey, let's go back to the drawing board, and we brought in a chemical study, treatment study at our Whippoorwill lift station, and we have determined that a chemical phasing will work at our lift station there, and so we have scrapped this. We've moved that funding into this following project here, into the Whippoorwill lift station. So we currently have about 1.4. We're estimating it's going to be around that cost. The biggest hit here is going to be overwhelmingly electrical. We're going to put a generator out here and communication systems upgrades at this facility. The pumps and the motors, they are new, but yeah, really just electrical based. You should see this coming up in a couple months. Collection system master plan. So council, you remember that we just updated our land use assumptions. We did that last year, mid to late last year. And so we're following that up with a collection system master plan update, as well as an impact fee study update. And we kicked this off in January. We're currently doing basically a data dump over to the consultant. And we're expecting this to be roughly a year, and it may bleed into 2025, but keeping fingers crossed, it's going to be late 2024 when we're wrapped up with this. All right, so the remodel of finance and HR. So right above me is our finance department's offices. They also have another group, our utility billing group, and so right now they're locationally displaced from each other. So this project is ultimately going to take the finance offices and the HR offices and just do a big switcheroo. So we had a cost estimate of around $600,000. We have gotten those costs in, and we're sub $600,000. I think we're like $550 right now.
I also wanted to talk about the importance of this project. So this area is kind of the plan for the new HR area, but where you used to see Bernadette sitting, this is where this will be. So it's also from a public-facing side, is when you walk into City Hall, there will be someone there. It'll be HR staffed at the front to be able to welcome people, answer questions, those types of things.
Schedule is going to be an important component of this project, because obviously we're displacing some offices and people. They will be more than likely down here in the lower level being able to work, but we want to try to get this done as quickly as possible to minimize just the disruption. Speaking of lower level, whenever we designed this, we left that far western portion of the basement in a more of a future storage area or future space considerations. And the paint hasn't even dried, and we already have a new use for this area. So currently, our public records are stored at the Stephen L. Backus Public Services Center, and we're going to move those records into this area. Right now, we're gathering some costs for just putting up a wall in that future space, that red outline space. We're going to ultimately dedicate to record storage.
Are those records, I mean, is that paper?
Paper.
How long till we digitize that stuff?
That's the purpose of this.
Okay.
So really, if you think about it, one is, and you saw this in the audit, as well as when Thomas got hired, was the fact that it's not well AC controlled out there. So you have a lot of boxes out there that I think probably could be destroyed, but it's moving it here so that Thomas's team has ready access to be able to deal with them and then work with the departments to do it.
Very good point. Yeah, currently it's a metal building that it's housed in, and bringing it here, definitely climate controlled and preserving those records as we're moving into that digitization of those files. Next. So this one in the next slide is related to our water plant master plan, or the water system master plan. And the first item that we were going to hit was ozonation. We kind of had a structural infrastructure issue that we're concerned about, and so we brought this one and we just switched up ozonation and this combined pump station in Clearwell. Ultimately, what this will do is this project's going to delete this 1 million gallon Clearwell. We're going to introduce a 2 million gallon Clearwell in its place, have a combined pump station and a generator. We did an RFQ, and that should say March 3rd and March 9th. But we had a pre-proposal conference last week. A lot of interest was in that room. There were a lot of individuals from different firms were in that room in terms of the design considerations for this one. And moving on to the next one. So this is going to be moving forward here shortly. You should see this in June. But ozone did get pushed. It is still the second project at the water plant side. And then just conceptually, we do have these facilities going over here. There is one thing that we can do, and we're considering going ahead and moving forward with it now, because as we move into design, we're going to have to do a pilot study. You can actually do that pilot study now, or sooner than actually going into design. And what that study, followed by the design, you ultimately have to submit that to the state, and the state has to generally accept and generally approve, because you are changing up the treatment process with this move here. So we can actually go ahead and get that pilot study out of the way. That would take 6 months to a year. Yeah. The wastewater treatment administration building. This is our admin as well as our lab, and our lab is elbow to elbow. They're just running all over each other. It's very, very tight over there. So we instituted just remodeling this whole entire area. There was an old training space. We've moved offices into that space, and now we have some workstations for the laboratory personnel. We've blown out the lab. We have a receiving station for dropping off samples from construction groups or other municipalities that want to drop off their water and wastewater samples to us. Really good project. I think in 2 weeks, we're doing a transition period from phase 1 into phase 2, and if you go there today, it'll look entirely different from whenever this is actually completed. Once again, late June 2024. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this one, but Midway Branch Lift Station in Forest, Maine. This was a project from a number of years ago. Design of the station itself is actually at 90%, but this is the solution for handling the east side sanitary flow from Castle Hills over and getting it over to our wastewater treatment plant. The only thing that's changed really is the force main. It was also designed. It was going to run through the Leela corridor, the utility corridor that ran through Leela. That has changed. And then Aaron will follow this up with that study on the east side sanitary sewer. Aeration base. So this is the last project that I'm going to be talking about, but it's the second project in terms of the wastewater treatment plant master plan. Council, you will see this next council meeting, and it's to award a construction manager at risk to move forward with this project. As you recall, TCEQ, our primacy or governing agency, they say, hey, once your plant reaches 75% of its capacity, you have to be in design. Once it reaches 90% of its flow capacity, you have to be in construction. This will get us to construction because we have surpassed that 75%, and we're just barely hovering and about to kiss that 90% discharge level. So you will see this next meeting. And that's all I have. It's really just good to see progress on the facilities utility side, as well as the engineering and streets and side there. So, yeah.
That is a ginormous amount of projects.
Oh yeah.